Now let's get our text added to all of our other artboards. And just as we did with images, if we simply Option or Alt drag our text layer onto one of the other artboards, then each layer of text will become completely independent. So if we needed to make a change to any of the text, we would have to make that change to each and every layer, and that's just way too much work. Now, if you're thinking, hey, convert that text to a smart object, then you're right on track. Let's delete this text layer, then right or control click on our text layer, and then select Convert to Smart Object. Now, instead of our T icon for type, we have what looks like a transparent layer, but there is a light little blob up here in the corner that's really hard to see, and that's actually our text. Also, notice that all of our layer effects have now disappeared as well. Those are all now contained within the smart object itself. Now, more on that shortly. For now, Option or Alt drag this smart object to our other landscape-oriented artboards to duplicate the smart object for each artboard. Then with one of those selected, press Command or Control T to access the free transform tool, and then hold down the Shift key as you uniformly scale that text down and reposition it for the artboard. Then hit Enter or Return to lock that in. I'll scroll my window down a little bit, select the other text blocks, hit Command or Control T, and scale that one as well. Then hit Enter or Return to lock in that change. Now, if you needed to edit your text to, say, change Unit 3 to Unit 4, you could simply double-click on any of these smart objects to drill into it, just as we did for our images, and there's our editable text. We can select it by double-clicking on the T icon, then click inside the text, and let's change Unit 3 to Unit 4. And if you look over in your Layers panel, here are those layer styles that we added. Let's turn that bevel and emboss back on by clicking the eye icon. Now, when you close the tab and save your changes, when you come back to your template, all of these artboards have been updated. Okay, that worked great for all of these that have the same basic orientation. But if you Option or Alt drag the smart object to one of these artboards that has a different orientation, then you press Command or Control T to transform it. And if you hold down the Shift key while you uniformly scale it, the text gets super tiny. If instead you try and stretch the text out, the text just looks awful. Okay, we clearly need a different approach. Hit Enter or Return to lock in that change, and then let's throw that text layer away. This time, right or control click on one of your smart text layers, and then select New Smart Object via Copy from the pop-up menu. Then drag that new copy to your other layer. This is now a completely new and independent smart object that is going to start off looking exactly like all of the others. But if you double click on its icon, you can now edit this new smart object independent of the other ones. Let's change this text into a square orientation. We'll do that by double clicking on the T icon to select all of the text. Then, since we created this text as paragraph text, we can drag the control handles and the text will automatically wrap to the new size. You want to drag your text into roughly a square shape using the bounding box values as a guide. Now, this text is taller than the smart object's canvas, so let's fix that by going up to the Image menu and selecting Canvas Size. And let's trim this canvas down to about 4 by 4 inches. Now, since we're going to make this canvas significantly smaller, Photoshop is going to have to trim off some of the width of the current canvas and add some height to it. Click this upper left corner to set an anchor point and tell Photoshop to lock this corner of the current canvas in place and trim in from the right and add new content down below the corner. Then click OK. Photoshop warns us that some clipping will occur, and that's okay. We just accounted for that. So click the Proceed button, and Photoshop will reformat your image. You can then grab your Move tool by pressing the V key on your keyboard and adjust your text so that it's roughly centered in that layer. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now close this tab and save your changes. Now you can once again access the free Transform tool by pressing Command or Control T, then reposition and shift drag the corner to uniformly scale that text to fit into this artboard. Then when you're happy with your transformation, hit Enter or Return to lock it in. Now you can Option or Alt drag this new smart object to the other artboards that use the more vertical orientation. Now let's say we need to change our text now back to Unit 3. We would need to do that twice. Once by double-clicking on any of the smart objects that's in the horizontal orientation and editing the text as we've done before. Then closing and saving that change. And then once again, double-clicking and editing one of the vertically oriented smart objects, making the change, closing the tab, and saving it. And now all of our text is updated across all of the artboards. Thanks to the power of smart objects and copies of smart objects, you can quickly update text across multiple artboards with significantly fewer steps. On the next movie, we'll wrap this up and I'll show you how to export all of these images out with just a few clicks.